One of the biggest expenses most people deal with is hiding in plain sight. No, it's not your daily coffee run. In this video, we're going to uncover what that major expense is, show you how to save thousands each year by understanding what drives the cost, and even how to make money from those savings. Hi friends, I am Tison. I hope everyone doing well. Let's take a look at where most of our money tends to go. For most households, the big spending categories are housing, transportation, taxes, utilities, and of course food. If we can find smart ways to cut costs in just one or two of these areas, the savings can really add up. So, what do you think the number one wealth killer is? Here's a hint. It's the one category that varies the most from person to person. That's why it's so easy to overlook. The answer? Transportation. Cars are a huge financial drain, and it's largely because of how we view them. In our society, owning a flashy car is often seen as a symbol of success. But here's the problem, many people end up buying cars they really can't afford, all for the sake of status. I was just talking about this with Nate O'Brien, another personal finance YouTuber who actually inspired this video. We both agreed cars are quietly eating away at people's finances. It's always exciting to see a friend roll up in a new car, but we don't often talk about the financial burden that comes with it. It's right there under our noses, and because everyone's doing it, we don't question it. Here's the reality. In 2023, used car prices rose again, up 2.5% in January alone, and get this, nearly 16% of people who financed a new car in Q4 of 2022 committed to monthly payments over $1,000. That's a record high. Even more shocking, we're still seeing outrageous dealer markups on popular models. Just take a look at this Porsche. It's got a markup of $250,000. That's more than the price of some homes. And it doesn't stop there. According to ATA, the average annual cost of owning and operating a car in 2022 was $10,528. Let that number sink in. That's a serious chunk of change. Let's break that down even further by looking at a specific example, a 2018 Honda Civic. This is a relatively affordable, practical car, not some luxury model. Even still, the total cost to own it over 5 years is nearly $44,000, or around $8,800 a year. Now keep in mind, the average American salary is about $54,000 a year. That means nearly 16% of someone's income could be going just toward owning a used car. That's a big hit to your ability to save or invest. And no, I'm not saying owning a Honda Civic is extravagant, it's a reasonable choice. But even a modest car like that can cost you more than you realize. So let's walk through the different components of car ownership and where you can actually cut costs. Great. Let's continue rephrasing from where we left off, starting with depreciation and moving through the rest of the breakdown. The biggest chunk of the cost when owning a car is depreciation. Basically, cars lose value over time due to wear and tear. That means the minute you buy a car, especially a new one, it starts dropping in value. That's why I always say putting your money into a car isn't really an investment, it's a depreciating asset. Once you drive it off the lot, it's instantly worth 10 to 15% less than what you just paid. That's a tough pill to swallow. If you want to save big here, avoid buying new. The sweet spot for getting the best value is usually buying a car that's 3 to 5 years old with around 30,000, 40,000 miles on it. At that point, most of the depreciation has already happened, but the car is still new enough to be reliable without a ton of maintenance issues. Next up, taxes and fees. Unfortunately, this is one area that's tough to avoid. Every car comes with registration fees and yearly taxes, and depending on where you live, like here in California, you might also need regular smog checks. But there is a potential savings lever here. If your household owns more cars than you actually need, consider downsizing. Some families have 3 or 4 cars for just 2 or 3 drivers. Cutting even one of those can save you a good amount in yearly fees, insurance, and maintenance. Let's talk about financing. Most people don't have $30K, $50K lying around to buy a car in cash. Instead, they put down a few thousand and finance the rest, usually with interest. Right now, interest rates are high. Even with good credit, car loan rates are sitting around 6 to 6.5%. And if your credit isn't great, those rates climb even higher. At that point, I'd strongly recommend reconsidering a new car and looking for something used or more affordable. Now let's move on to fuel. This is one cost that people often overlook when calculating how much their car is really costing them each month. You might think, hey, my monthly payment is $500, but if you're spending $200 a month on gas, that's a $700 month total cost. For the Honda Civic example, fuel costs came out to about $12,800 over 5 years, or about $2,560 a year. That's assuming 15,000 miles of driving annually. To cut fuel costs, you can do small things like get a Costco membership and fuel up there. Prices are usually much cheaper. Over time, those $5, $8 savings per fill up really add up. Or if it's an option for you, consider switching to an electric vehicle, though I get that EVs are still pretty expensive right now. We're not quite at the point where they're affordable for everyone, but hopefully we'll get there in the next 10-20 years. Then there's insurance. For the Honda Civic, insurance costs came out to about $650 over 5 years, or roughly $150 a month. Here's a great tip I picked up from Nate O'Brien. Every year, on the same date, call your insurance company and ask if they can give you a better rate. If they say no, start shopping around. Use your current coverage as a benchmark and check with companies like Geico, State Farm, or Progressive. Most insurers know that long-term customers are super valuable, so they'll often match or beat your current rate to win your business. I do this every year, not just with insurance, but also with other bills like my internet plan. I mark a date on my calendar, call up the provider, and ask if they can reoffer their intro rate. If not, I mention I'm thinking of switching. 9 times out of 10, they'll drop your rate to keep you on board. Now, for repairs and maintenance, these are harder to reduce unless you're willing to learn a bit and do some of it yourself. But thanks to YouTube, that's easier than ever. Changing your own oil, for example, isn't as complicated as it might seem. You could watch a 20-minute tutorial, pick up the basic tools, and save $100, $150 each time you do it yourself. Over a lifetime, that adds up big time. If you do 200 oil changes throughout your life and save $100 each time, that's $20,000 saved just from one skill. Also, if your check engine light comes on, don't rush to the dealership. Places like AutoZone will run a diagnostic scan for free and tell you what's going on. You can even buy an OBD2 scanner yourself and do it at home. Quick story, I had my check engine light come on and was too nervous to drive. I waited a week for a dealership appointment only to find out the problem was just a loose gas cap. Knowing how to scan your car yourself can save you time, stress, and money. Alright, let's wrap this up with one of the most powerful tips of all. What if you didn't own a car at all? I know that might sound extreme depending on where you live, but hear me out. The average cost of owning a car is over $10,000 a year. If you didn't have that expense and instead invested that money either into yourself, your skills, or the stock market, you could see some serious long-term returns. Let's say you invested $10K into Microsoft stock back in 2018. That money would be worth close to $30K today. That's not even including what it might grow to in the next 5 to 10 years. Sure, there are risks when it comes to investing, but the point is, the opportunity cost of car ownership is massive. That $10K could be working for you instead of getting drained by gas, insurance, and repairs. Another smart move to consider: live closer to where you work. A lot of people spend 45 minutes to an hour commuting each way, burning time and money on gas and maintenance. Now imagine paying a little more in rent to live closer to your job. Even if it's $200, $300 more a month, you might still come out ahead when you factor in the money saved from driving less. Plus, you get more of your time back. So just to quickly recap: 1. Buy used in the 3 to 5 year range to avoid the worst of depreciation. 2. Shop around for insurance every year. Don't just stick with the same provider. 3. Downsize your vehicle count if you have more cars than drivers. 4. Consider moving closer to work to save on fuel, time, and maintenance. 5. And if possible, go car free and let that money work for you elsewhere. Alright, that's it for today's video. If you found this helpful, check out my free newsletter, Hump Days, where we send out 2 weekly breakdowns on personal finance and business, totally free and linked below. Drop a comment with your thoughts or what you're driving these days, and I'll see you in the next one.